Hey, good morning, everybody. We've had a short hiatus from filmmaking here the last couple weeks. Haven't done any filming since we got done putting nitrogen on the weeds. Reason being is not because we haven't been working, just hasn't really been a whole lot of interesting stuff going on around here. Zach was out there for about a week, and when he got back, he's just been working on servicing tractors, changing the oil in them and stuff. You know, nothing really exciting or film worthy. I've been spending all my time in the office going over financials and preparing reports and just getting all the book work and record keeping done, preparing for another year. I'll give you a few clips of what I've been up to here a little bit. It's time for us to get started on some of our bigger winter projects and stuff y'all might be interested to see. And I still got a few more days of work left in the office before I can get down in the shop full time. So in the meantime, we've got one project that Zach can pretty much work on by himself, not going to require two people, and he's going to get started on that. I'm sure most of y'all have seen the video of my combine accident last fall, and the result of that was my corn head was totaled out. So anyway, it's been sitting here ever since late last September. We settled up with an insurance company on it. After we got done settling up, the insurance company basically told me, we don't want it, you can keep it, do whatever you want to with it. So haven't had any luck actually selling the thing, someone wanting to rebuild it or anything. You know, no big surprise there. It's a 38-inch row corn header, not a whole lot of demand, and you know, personally it's not something I really want to tackle myself either. So we could just haul it off for scrap. We get if I had to guess, we probably get about $800-900 for it. So in the meantime, we're going to try and recoup a little bit more money off of it, and we're going to actually pull this thing in the shop, and I'm gonna have Zach strip off all the usable parts on it right now. Of course, all the poly and stuff, it's completely trashed. Nothing we can do with that. But a lot of the row units are still good. We think the gearboxes are still good on it. The gathering chains, the sprockets, deck plates, the stalk rolls. I think the majority of all of that is still good on it. So we're going to try and strip it down and see if we can sell some of the used parts off of it. The auger there is still good, but it'll only fit 3206 6-row 38-inch corn head. So not many of those in there, so we'll probably just leave that on there with a frame. And once we get done stripping the usable parts off of it, probably haul the frame off and sell it for scrap. First thing we're going to do, try and get this thing in the shop. We'll hook the head to the combine and pull it in the shop, and then unhook from it and try and use our forklift to stand it up on end to make it a little bit easier to work on and get to some of this stuff. Now the first thing we got to do to get this thing in the shop is take this side shield off. Corn header would just had like a 1/2-inch clearance on either side getting in the shop when this thing wasn't bent, and it sure ain't going in there now like that. Oh, by the way, if anybody's looking for spare parts for a Case IH 3000 series corn head, let me know. Just leave your contact information in the comments below and I'll get in touch with you. We're gonna have quite a few parts available that I need to get rid of, and want to get rid of as soon as possible. So we'll have a lot of pretty good parts available on this thing. This is a 2012 model, been over approximately 4,000 acres. We bought it brand new in 2012. We just reversed the knives on the stalk rolls. That's probably the most worn thing, is the actual knives themselves, but the stalk rolls are still good. The spiral cone's still good. Gathering chain's still good. Gearbox is still good. So we're gonna have all deck plates. We got 2 sets of deck plates on it. Anything you need, let me know. We'll be glad to get it to you. See the wheat there in the background through the tree line. That's our first planted wheat, starting to green up from the nitrogen application we made a couple weeks ago. Last time this old corn head is going to be on this combine. Oh yeah, several weeks ago we got some new back shoes for the combine here. Cost about $3,000. Tight squeeze. Yeah, I think something just don't look right about that corn head. Can't quite put my finger on it though. Ah, that's what it is. I got a little bit of plastic scratched up there. And now we're gonna go get the forklift, get it down here. We're gonna attempt to stand the corn head up on its end just to make it a lot easier to get the stuff. Most of the stuff we're going to take off is going to be on the underside of the header, so hopefully we'll be able to stand it up on the end with a forklift, make it that much easier to work on. It'd be nice if someone pressure wash this thing, make it a little easier to work on. We still got some pretty good parts on here. Stock rolls are still good. I think all but one of the gearboxes is good. I'm sure this one right here is bad. It's cracked. I'm not sure if that's just a plate or part of the gearbox itself, but it's cracked and leaking out grease, so it's not going to be good. But we should have 5 good ones on there.
Still a whole lot of good usable parts on this old corn head. So I've got it in here, stripping it down, getting all the parts that are still going to be usable, and the rest of it I guess is just going to go to the scrap iron pile. So got started on it yesterday afternoon, getting the row heads off and starting to get down to the meat of it, see how far we can get into it today.
All right, just to show you a little bit of what I've been doing most of January and here the first part of February while Zach's been in the shop working on projects and servicing and other stuff. Is been spending a whole lot of time up here just really going through financials, preparing everything, getting all of our data collected from last year so we can see exactly how we performed last year from the financial side, trying to nail down where a lot of our costs were, maybe where we can cut back for this coming year. We've also, been creating all of our fertilizer prescriptions, our seeding prescriptions, so we know exactly how much we need to order and have on hand. So whenever we do get ready to go to the field, all of that stuff is ready. And then another big project, probably took me about 5 days total, was reporting about 5 years worth of crop data to crop records to Indigo Ag. We have signed up with them for the Indigo Carbon program to where hopefully, I've mentioned in the past that we're real big believers in cover crops and soil health, and a big part of that is actually using our crops and cover crops to sequester carbon from the air and put it into the soil. Now we hope to gain from that in the future through increased crop yields, lower input costs, lower fertilizer that we got to use, and also a lot more resiliency when it comes to drought or adverse weather. We hope to recoup a lot of our costs, in the years to come. But on the flip side, if there's a way that we can profit off of it now on sequestering this carbon, we would obviously like to take advantage of a program like that. And Indigo Carbon has come out with this program in the last year. It's been kind of in the pilot stage, and now it's advancing to more the practical stage, to where farmers such as myself sign up with them and enroll our acres, and they measure through what we do on the field, our practices on the field. They have some kind of algorithm to figure out how much carbon we're actually sequester. And these carbon credits that that farmers have sequestered in the soil, can then be sold to other businesses who maybe have not taken the steps that they need to yet on reducing their carbon footprint, and it really helps them get under the regulatory process and whatever. So what I did is, you can see all of my farms and fields here. All of these fields, I had to submit 5 years worth of production data, and to do this, we had to enter in what we did on each of the farms as far as planting, fertilizer use, harvest, cover crops, manures, all that sort of stuff. And then we actually had to provide documentation of how we actually did it. And then you can see right here in this column, all of it is under review. So hopefully here pretty soon, they'll be able to let me know, exactly how much carbon I sequestered in 2020. And also in 2019, they're talking about doing 2 years at once, and they're contracted to pay us $15 per ton of the carbon that we've actually sequestered. So don't exactly know how this is going to turn out. Don't really know if it was going to be worth all the work, if they'll actually accept my records, or if I want to go back and fix a bunch of stuff, provide more documentation. I don't know at this point, but I do know if I didn't do anything, I definitely wasn't going to get paid anything. So the jury's still out on this, but hopefully I'll have some more information on it in the coming days. But getting back to things that are definitely more relevant to our farm is one thing we do each year is I've got a spreadsheet I made several years ago on our projections for the year, just to try and give us a baseline of where I think we will be at the end of the year as far as yield, price, expenses, all that sort of stuff. And this is stuff I provide to the bank each year in order to renew my operating line of credit. And I'm probably a lot more detailed than what the bank requires, but this helps me as a business owner to really dive deep into the nuances of the business and figure out maybe where we're spending too much money that we don't need to, where we can cut back some, and just really looking at the different shares that we have, and what's the most profitable lease agreements for us, what's the most profitable crop for us, what kind of price levels do we need to book our crops at in order to secure a profit. Really gives me a lot of real good information. So right here I've completed the 2021 projections on corn with our anticipated cost and our anticipated yield. We're looking at a cost of around $2 per bushel with a profit margin of $2.64 per bushel if we can sell it at $4.60 a bushel, which is kind of where I got the projected cost at. And we got that for all of our crops. Then you scroll on down, get after our crops, we got our overhead costs and expenses, gas, fuel, oil, electricity, insurance, scouting services, utilities, payroll, all that sort of stuff that doesn't necessarily apply to an actual production expense, but it's all stuff we got to figure in. And we also got other sources of income, USDA government payments, custom machine hire, land rent, equipment sales, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, when it's all said and done for this coming up year, we're projected to gross somewhere around 1.3 million. Of that, when you subtract out the landlord shares, our share is going to be a little over $1 million. Our expense is going to be somewhere around $945,000 with a projected net income of around $71,000, $72,000. Now, obviously there's so many things we don't know. We can't predict. We don't know what the weather's going to do. We don't know what our yield's going to be. We don't know what the prices are going to do. We have a pretty good feel of maybe what our expenses are going to be, but that's about the only thing. So a lot of this stuff is just our best guess and when I go back and fill out the other side of this spreadsheet this time next year versus to show what we actually did, there's usually going to be a lot of variance. So I've done that for, I did that for 2020 before I started preparing the 2021. And the only thing that was really close in line was the projected expenses. We were able to cut cost quite a bit off of what I was projecting, which was beneficial. But also our yield was lower. When I'm using my projected yield, what I'm actually using is my 5-year average of what we've made, because I don't have any idea what our yields are going to be for the coming up year, because I don't know what the weather's going to be. You know, I feel the most accurate thing I can do is use my actual 5-year yield. And for corn, that's 169 bushels. Full season soybeans is 65 bushels. Cotton is 1,114 pounds. Wheat is 78 bushels. And double crop soybeans is 49 bushels. So that's the yields that we use in our projections. But last year, because we did have a drought, we had a dry weather over a lot of our crop. Our yields fell a little short of our five-year projections. The prices we received were pretty close in line to what I was anticipating. But anyway, when it was all said and done, we did our overhead income and overhead expenses was off. You know, I had the combine accident. There was a big chunk of cost right there. We also had the insurance coming in, which was a big chunk of income. Then we had quite a bit extra in USDA payments because of the trade issues that we suffered through, and then you had other payments associated with the coronavirus that we were able to receive. But when it was all said and done last year, we brought in a little over $1.8 million. Of that, after landlord shares, was about $1.5 million. Our costs last year were $1,350,000, and we actually netted about $160,000. Now that $160,000, that's not going in my pocket. I'm not taking it home. A lot of that goes towards, the majority of that we invest right back into the business. Like, this is going to be the first year that we haven't actually carried over a balance on our operating line of credit. The line of credit is zeroed out, and we've got a little bit of extra money to start the year with, which will be beneficial for us this coming year. And then we've had to, upgrade equipment, repair equipment, invest money back into the business that way. So, I wish I could put that $160,000 in my back pocket and carry it home, but that's not the way it works. So in order to run a successful business, especially a farming business, it's something you have to constantly invest in. And also we like to put a little bit away, just because we don't know what the next year is going to bring. We don't know if we're actually going to lose money next year due to either prices or drought or whatnot. We do know for coming up for 2021, our revenue is definitely going to be lower than what it was this year, because we're losing about 22% of our acres. So that's, we've got 22% less acres to spread all of our fixed and overhead costs over. So our overhead cost per acre is going to go up. So, but on the plus side, right now we're looking at better prices than what we had last year. Now, wheat we're not going to be, because we got the majority of our wheat already locked in. And then unfortunately, I think I mentioned in previous videos, the soybean situation for this year, where one of my contracts from last year doubled up. I didn't have the bushels to fill it, so I had to roll it to this year. And because there was about a $2 per bushel spread between January 20 and January 21, we lost about $2 per bushel off of the price that we had it locked in at. Now, I did buy 25,000 bushels worth of call options to try and regain some of that price, but it's no way it's going to regain $2 per bushel or more. At most, we could be looking at regaining maybe 80 cents to $1 per bushel if the price continues to go up. So really made a big mistake in my marketing last year. At the time I did it, it was a good decision, but because of the way that the market turned, it wound up hurting us. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a glimpse of what we've been doing here in the office, just trying to get everything nailed down, prepared for next year, making sure we got good data we're working with, and making good decisions for next year. So Finally, I'm pretty much done here behind the computer, except for a few odds and ends here and there. And tomorrow I can get down the shop, start giving Zach a hand, start going through some of this equipment and getting the equipment situated and ready to go for next year. So,
all right, so we've got the gathering chains, the knife rollers, deck plates, everything from the front side that still was in good shape and didn't have much wear on it. Got all that stripped off. Now we're gonna get to the fun part of trying to dig these good gearboxes. Surprisingly enough, this is where the set of duals came over, but we've still got 4 gearboxes that are in really good shape and one that's 2 months old that's still in good shape. So I'm gonna get under here, try to figure out exactly how I need to go about unbolting this thing and making sure I don't loosen up anything on the frame to keep that chain good and tight. And then gonna load all this stuff up on a pallet and get it squared away in the dry and have some slightly used spare parts laying around. All right, so I finally got gearbox number 1 out after talking with one of the service guys at our case dealer. He let me know that even though the mounts for the knife rollers may be cracked, the gearbox is probably still in good shape, so we're going to go ahead and yank all 6 of them off. But seeing that I pretty much had to pull every bolt for me to get this thing out without taking the row unit off, and I'm sure that anybody and everybody's going to leave comments of how I did this wrong, but hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Never had to remove a gearbox before off of this thing. We've had to change out a few slip clutches, but that's fairly simple compared to yanking the whole assembly out. So we have made the executive decision to, since we're not using this corn head anymore and all we're trying to do is save the gearboxes, I'm just going to take the row units apart, take them off, and it's going to be 10 times easier for me to take the gearboxes out. So that's what we're going to try to do now. All right, so it took some doing, but it's finally stripped down. We've got all the gearboxes, the PTO shaft, which is still in really good shape, knife rollers, deck plates, gathering chains, anything and everything that can be reused that actually didn't get damaged off of the head is stripped off, and now we're back down to the main frame. So I'm gonna get my mess swept up one more time and get a trailer down here and get this thing out of the way. All right, so we got the header out of here. That's half the battle. Now we're gonna get all these parts loaded up on these pallets.
all right, well, it looks like while I was out of town, Zach got the corn head all finished up and stripped down. This is pretty much everything that's left of it, or at least the parts that really aren't salvageable and worth anything. We will haul this all off to the scrap place. Try and get a little bit of money for it. All right, here we got all the parts that are salvageable and still good. Be perfect for if you're looking for cheap parts to maybe overhaul something that's broke on your head. All of these parts are still good, straight, and usable. Looks like we got 3 row unit frames that are still good and straight, nothing wrong with them. We got all of our gathering chains, our deck plates, our gathering chain tensioners, guides, sprockets, all of that stuff is still good. Got our stalk rolls here. They are still good, still in real good shape. We got weed knives. The deck plates, we got 2 sets of deck plates. We got the ones that came standard on our corn head when we bought it new. We got tapered ones. We didn't like those as much. What we actually bought after 1 year running were these straight deck plates right here that aren't tapered towards the middle. We liked them better. We felt like that they fed the crop better, probably not as much butt shelling, and the road units didn't tend to plug as bad. So we got 2 complete sets of deck plates, and then we got some big ticket items here in gearboxes and slip clutches. So what we also got the case, the outside covering for the oil bath chain drive. And I think we got 4 gearboxes here that we know are still good. I think 2 others the gearboxes themselves are still good, but we had the outside plate on the gearbox was actually cracked when the combine ran over it. And as far as I understand, that can be replaced separately of the gearbox. So anyway, you've seen what we got. Our plan is to, for most of this stuff, we're just going to ask about half the price of what the new part is. To the best of my knowledge, all of this stuff is still in good shape and ready to go. And if any of y'all are interested in any of these parts, and if you got a 3000 series corn head, I know all these parts came off of a 3200 series corn head. I'm assuming that they would work for a 3400 series corn head too. I know some of the parts are not interchangeable with the 2000 series corn head because they had a different knife roll on them. Not sure about the gearboxes, but if you want to compare part numbers, if you're interested in any of this, just leave me a message in the comments with your contact information, and I'll get back to you. And like I said, most of this stuff we're just looking to get about half price of what the new is for it. Although if you want to make me a deal on a lot of parts at once, I'm always open to talk. So, also, what else we got? We got a bunch of gauge wheels here that we took off of our 1560 drill. A lot of the tires really need to be replaced. Some of them are still good, but the wheels are still good. We upgraded our gauge wheels on our drill to the Needham Hags. So if you're interested in anything like that, let me know. One last thing, we got a sweep auger here that doesn't have much use. So we took this out of our 30-foot bin, so it will fit a 30-foot bin. It's got an electric motor on it, so it's not a direct drive. You will need to power it, but if you're looking for something like that for your grain bin, just go ahead and let me know. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching this video. We got a clean shop now, one of our big projects out of the way for the winter. So the next thing we're going to pull in tomorrow, I reckon, is probably the fertilizer buggy. Get our work done on that, and then get the planter in after that. We got a lot of exciting stuff to add to it. So appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you in the next video.